Hi, this is Math 2, Unit 4, Lesson 3. I'm looking at the bisectors in triangles. I'm doing some coordinate work to find the circumcenter of each triangle. Let me show you a couple hands-on ways to figure this out if you can't quite get the math part of it. What we're looking for, because these are a lot of right angles today, is we're looking for a point on the hypotenuse. That's the line across from the right angle, where if I found the midpoint of this line and the midpoint of this line and then drew a line together where they would meet over here, that's the circumcenter that I'm looking for. So what I want to do is essentially look at, alright, I have here a point 0, I'm going from 0 to 4, and I want to ask myself, the first question is, well, what's the midpoint of this line? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 is my length of the segment, so half of that would be here at 2. So my midpoint would be here at 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to draw a vertical line for my mid-segment just on up here like so. Okay? So I have a nice little line there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. There we go. So I have this line. Now, when I look at the next line, I have a length that goes 1, 2, 3 in length. Half of 3 is 1.5. Alright? So if I go up 1.5, my mid-segment to this line would be right there at that point. So now if I draw a little line here, like so, what I'm saying or what I'm asking is, the circumcenter is where these two lines come together on that hypotenuse. That's where the circumcenter is going to be. Now, in terms of assigning it an x and y value, well, my x value is over at 1, 2. And my y value, we started at 1, and we went up 1 more to make it 2, and we went up half to make it 2.5. So what that means is this point here that I circled in green is at point 2, 2.5. That would be the circumcenter of that triangle using the coordinate grid there. Let's look at the same thing for number 2. Again, same idea. We have a right triangle actually here, okay, which means we're looking for a point somewhere over here for this triangle. So what I'll do is I'll count the segments. Now it's really nice on this one here because they made sure that they're only 1 square away. So if I look at this first line, it goes 1, 2, 3 is the number of segments it goes across. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 long. So half of 3 would be right here at this point. And so that's going to be where I will begin to draw my first line. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up with my triangles, the coordinate grid here, to see it's going to end up right there at that point on the opposite triangle. Okay, I'm going to go and just make it big just so you can see it, alright? So I'm going to end up right there at that line. On this side I have 1, 2, 3, so I'll start here again. And when I go and draw my nice line, I got the same crossing point. And I'm going to be crossing right here at this point, right there. That's where I'm crossing. So now it's a question of, well, what do you call that point? Where is that actually at? So I kind of made a mess of my x and y axes here. Here's the x and y axis. This is the 0. The 0 is actually here, right? Yep, that's 0. That's why it says 0. So I'm actually going to go over 1 and up 1, 2, 3. So my point, my circumcenter here is at 1, 3. Okay? So just doing some drawing to figure out where is that point going to be at there. When I got to number 5, I went, oh, this is not quite as nice because now they don't give me a graph to work with, so I had to draw one on my own here. So to draw a graph, I notice here a lot of negative numbers, -3, and 1, which tells me for my triangle I'm going to draw, I have 2 points that are in the -3 on this side of the y-axis, and I am at -5 on, so I'm going to go down. So if I'm going to draw this out here, I'm going to end up with a lot more space in the negative side of the world than the positive side of the world, alright? Yeah, that's fine. So let's see, our first point is at -3. So I'm just going to briefly sketch this out here. 1, 2, 3, and we're down 5. I'm going to try to make it a little even just so I can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my first point, -3, -5, is point P. Point Q is at -3, +2. So I'm going to go up and all the way to here. That's Q. And R is at +1 and down -5. So over here. Which tells me that on my triangle, as in terms of a shape, I have a nice line here. And then I have my right angle here. And my hypotenuse over here. So we're looking for this point. The circumcenter is going to be someplace over here, where if I find the mid segment of this and draw a line, the mid segment of this and draw a line, they'll match there. So, so here's what I'm going to do. I know that this one, in terms of the y, the vertical length of it, I'm up here at +2, and I'm down here at -5, which means I have a total, my distance here is a total of 7. Does that make sense? If I count this out, I have 1, 2, then I have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So my distance from Q to P, in terms of the y, the vertical, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points away. For me, again, just trying to think about it, half of 7 is 3.5. So I'm going to go ahead and go down 1, 2, 3.5 and put a point right there. Okay, so we're looking right now for x and y coordinates, right? So my y coordinate, if I'm going down half, going down 3.5, is going to be at -1.5. Because that's just where I drew my dot at. I went down, I said this was 7, half of 7 is 3.5, so let's just go down 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. I could also go up and go from -5, go up 1, 2, 3.5, end up in the same spot. So my y coordinate will be at -1.5. For the x, what's my x value? My x value over here was -3, and my x value over here was 1, which means I have a distance of -3, -2, -1, 0, 1. I have a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, half of 4 is 2. So if I move over 2, 1, 2, I end up right here at, this point is -1. So that's my half. So my x value will be -1. The idea, once again, is, and this won't come out very nice because it's not to scale, would be that if I drew a line here and drew a line here, they would meet. Now they should meet, except my line's not great. It's pretty close, and it kind of made it in my circle here. So our point of our circumcenter is going to be at -1, -1.5. All right. Let's take a look at the back side of your homework. You can do that same idea for the other ones too. You could draw your pictures. It just was easy to figure out in that regard 7.5 and 4.5. Make your point and draw it and just figure out that way. On the back side here, we're looking at the point of concurrency. The point of concurrency is going to be the place where the angle bisectors come together and meet. So when I take a look at number 11, I have this angle bisector comes across, and there it is. I have this angle bisector, there it is, and the place where they come together is right here at U. That's it. They just gave you a little distractor here. They gave you this thing just to kind of confuse you. That's not an angle bisector. It's not chopping apart any angles into two equal parts, so you can ignore that. Basically I have that line, and they meet right there. And that's what we're doing for numbers 10, 12, and 13 as well. When you get down to number 16, the last one I'll show you today, what we're looking at here is that because these segments meet at the point where the angle bisectors meet, then the segments are going to be congruent, right? I had this angle bisector, I had this angle bisector, and these other little line segments happen to meet where the angle bisectors come together. Angle bisectors come together and they meet right here, yay. And because of that, then these two segments are going to be congruent. Congruent is a fancy way of saying they're equal. So for number 16, x plus 13 is going to be equal to 2x plus 2. Okay, so now I need to find out, okay, what's that mean? Well, I can subtract x over here, move an x, so 13 equals x plus 2. I can then go ahead and put minus 2 over here, minus 2, and so 11 equals x. So the value in here says to find the value of x is 11. The value of x is 11. Now if I wanted to solve the whole thing, which I don't need to, because I just want me to find the value of x, I would plug x back in and solve that there. But that's all it's asking you to do on this problem here is to find the value of x. That's it. Thanks.